Welcome to the Books, Beards, Booze podcast, where we talk books, drink booze, and have beards.
All right. As always, I'm Bob of Tales by Bob, and this week, Derek has abandoned us to go to South Carolina, which I personally think is a weird place to take a vacation to, considering all the possible places you could go in the world. It seems a little odd. But anyway, so instead, we've replaced him with someone much cooler.
I am Derek 2.0, come to destroy everything he has built. No, I'm kidding. I'm Brandon Kennedy. Should I talk about myself?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about you.
I am technically an author. I'm a writer. I have a self-published book on Amazon. But what I do mostly, I do stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
You want to restart?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, that's my dog at the door.
Oh, no, that's fine. Normally we have Derek's roommate walks in and out that makes a noise. So if there's not some random noise in the background, I think the listeners just get lonely.
Yeah. That's what my dog's doing. She's just scratching at the door right now, like, please let me come podcast. But anyways, I am a stand-up comedian, and I have a YouTube channel where I do live storytelling, and I live stream Dungeons and Dragons sessions to the internet. And hopefully I will be growing that more in the future. But yeah,
what are the names of, like, what's the name of your channel?
Okay. So you can find me on any social media at TalesbyBob, PresBKennedy. And the YouTube channel is under the same name. So if you search it, I will probably come up.
Yeah. There is a lot of good content on there, and the name of his book is Behind the Mask.
Yep, Behind the Mask.
I was a beta reader for that. And you can find it on Amazon. You can also find a copy of it in my tiny free library that I refuse to give to people because I tell them they should go buy it.
The reason why it took me so long was because Bob beta read it and was like, it's all garbage. Just start over again. And I was like, okay.
No. Anyway, so I am, drinking because I'm kind of on the road. Not at Derek's house, not at Carcosa. We're recording live from the Kennedy lair. So I'm drinking my usual portable Heaven and Coke, and I see you have some sort of beer over there.
Yes, I am drinking a Brewer Select Blue Moon Mango Wheat. And I have to say, it is absolutely delicious.
Yeah? Okay. I've had some Blue Moons in the past, but it's been a little while. Actually, the last time I had a Blue Moon, I wasn't even really that much of a beer drinker. So I feel like I should probably give them another try sometime, but I just...
Well, see, I thought...
It's a whiskey guy. It's hard to...
I thought we had to do beer, so I went out and bought fancy beer. I was like, what looks fancy? Because I don't drink beer either. Yeah. But you're drinking whiskey. Yeah. I have Fireball.
Cheap whiskey.
Yeah, I have Fireball in the cabinet. That's my favorite that I should have been drinking.
Yeah.
But I am actually really happy I bought this mango wheat beer. If all beer tasted like this, I would be a... Oh, there's a word for it, alcoholic. I was going to say a beeraholic, but...
Yeah. Nice. All right, so diving in on our news and booze, the news part of that. Well, I have a few snippets. I'm going to start out with beard news. The British Beard and Mustache Championships took place last weekend in Blackpool, England.
That's a thing?
It is. It's an annual competition that gathers facial hair. It's the fourth year, and they had 21 different categories, including Amish beard, sideburns/chops, and freestyle. But they are a family-friendly event that is not just open to hairy gentlemen, it says. Others can enter in the fake beard category.
Okay.
Yeah. The Sand-Grown Beardsmen, which is a Blackpool beard and mustache club, hosted the competition this year, which I think it's cool that they have a beard and mustache club. That's neat. In a little bit of booze news,
Can I comment on the beard?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, comment away.
So, Bob knows I rock a little mustache occasionally, and I try and grow into a goatee. Yeah. And I recently shaved. Yes. God, why did I shave this week? Oh, I shaved for I've been helping somebody stream, and so I needed to look prettier. And so I was just like, yeah, let me shave. And
well, first off, I'm offended that you need to shave
I know.
prettier, but
and that's why
that is the propaganda of Big Razor has manipulated your mind into thinking. Big Razor is an insidious industry that just it's tainting our body image.
And that's why
you look dashing either way.
It was a mistake to shave, and nobody should ever shave. Because in the time that I've shaved, I've been carded twice.
Oh.
And I haven't, one of the times I wasn't even buying alcohol. Like, a security officer just asked me for my ID. He's like, you can't be in here if you're not 21. I'm like, I'm, like, been over 21 for years, dude. And he's like, you don't even look like you're 17.
Yeah.
And then I got carded today buying the Blue Moon.
Yeah.
So it's just like...
I have not been carded at a place that... like, I've been carded at places like that's their just policy, like they card no matter what. But if it's not one of those places, I mean, I didn't even get carded when I was going into movie theaters, you know, like stuff like that. Like it's been a minute, but yeah. I look old, so
keep the beard because you don't want to become like Babyface Bob.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I haven't been clean shaven since high school. It's just not done. In booze news, I have a little bit of Alabama specific booze news. Boaz voters voted no to Sunday alcohol sales because they hate fun. The vote was 355 to 342.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But they did not even legalize alcohol sales in the city until 2013.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yeah. Welcome to Alabama, where we still have a number of dry counties.
Welcome to Alabama, where, I don't know how political I'm allowed to comment.
Yeah, it's fine.
But where Roy Moore, alleged pedophile, went head-to-head with an actual candidate.
Yeah.
That's Alabama.
No. Woo! Love it. In this, I have another snippet of news. So, Heaven Hill Distillery, which I am currently drinking their finest product.
Let's go.
They've filed a trademark infringement lawsuit against Heaven's Door Spirits, which is a whiskey company co-owned by Bob Dylan. The name of it is a reference to "Knocking on Heaven's Door," his iconic song. The lawsuit, which they filed in the district court in Louisville, argues that the startup distillery's use of its trademark, and I quote here, will create a likelihood of confusion, and it specifically notes that Heaven's Door has introduced a stacked logo similar to the one used by Heaven Hill. I've seen I love Heaven Hill to death, and I will support them far past the point where any logical person would. I'm going to have to kind of side with Heaven's Door Spirits. Those bottles look nothing alike.
I'm Google searching it right now. Heaven's Door Spirit.
Yeah,
so I can comment on it.
The Heaven's Door whiskey, yeah.
Whiskey. There we go. Let's look at
the bottles right there. Look at that middle picture. See it there?
Yeah.
See how different those bottles look?
Yeah.
They look nothing alike. I'll say this: the Heaven's Door bottles look really cool. I mean, really cool. They're very hip. Apparently, the art on it is all. Apparently, Bob Dylan does ironwork, and so all the art is modeled after the ironwork that he does.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well,
I don't know about the individual logo, and I will say the font is similar. Like Heaven Hill and Heaven's Door is a very similar font. But man, there's just no way you see those two bottles side by side and get confused, I feel like.
Yeah, with this, let's see, what is this?
Brandon is also a graphic designer, so...
Yeah, the font on Heaven's Door looks like Copper Hill, and let's see...
Bringing in the expert.
Yeah.
Right there. Go scroll. See that one there? Heaven Hill.
Okay, here we go. All right, so Heaven's Door and Heaven Hill. Okay, so the font that's on the Heaven's Door, that's called Copperplate Bold. And then the font that is on the font that's on the Heaven Hill distillery is called, and see, here you go. You can kind of see that. See how it has.
It's like a shadow. There. Like, what do you call that? Like.
It's got a drop shadow on that. You can add that to anything, but it's specifically how those serifs go off at the end. The font on Heaven Hill is it's something similar to a trebuchet font. It's very Roman.
If you haven't seen it, I once almost bought when I was at the Heaven Hill Distillery, I was going to buy one of their shirts. They had these white shirts with that exact logo on there. But if you look at it from a distance, it looks like a Hillary for President shirt.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks very...
living in Alabama, I don't need that grief. I don't. I know I would be wearing that shirt down the road and someone would throw something at me or get in my face or something. So...
Yeah, I would say with just graphic design rules and like creative appropriation, as long as the rule is, as long as you change 33% of it, it becomes yours.
Okay.
I think this is far enough different that they're not infringing.
Yeah.
I can see where where somebody incredibly drunk might get confused, but for the most part, I'd say Heaven's Doors probably got it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I feel, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. My last little bit of news, and I believe you have a bit of news after, is about the Hugo Awards.
Okay.
Hugo Awards just happened. They do that at Worldcon every year. They hold that. Exciting news: N.K. Jemisin won the Hugo for Best Novel. First off, that's just cool. Second off, what makes it really cool is that makes it the third year in a row that she won the Hugo for Best Novel.
Oh, wow.
She's the first person in history to win the Hugo for 3 consecutive years, and they're for all 3 books in the series. It's the Broken Earth trilogy, of which I've read the first one, and it is really good.
Okay.
I haven't read the other 2, but I have read... the first book is called The Fifth Season, and... the second one is The Obelisk Gate, and this one that she won for this year is The Stone Sky. Really good. She definitely deserves it. Her acceptance speech, it was live streamed. Apparently, it was killer. I haven't watched it. I've seen some quotes, and she has some killer quotes in there, but I haven't watched the whole thing. Check it out. But she is now the 5th author to have ever received 3 or more Hugos for the best novel. The others being. Louis McMaster Bujold, which I have read, and she is fantastic. Connie Willis, I'll be honest, never heard of.
Yeah,
Werner Vinge, honest, haven't heard of. And Robert Heinlein, who I have heard of. But she's the only person I've ever had her entire trilogy win, although Bujold and Willis each won 3 or more awards for books in a larger series.
Okay.
For example, I think Bujold, she's got the Voroskian saga, I think is her big sci-fi series. I think that's won multiple. But in other Hugo Awards, women writers racked the fuck up. Martha Wells took home the prize for
the F word on your own podcast.
Oh yeah, we cuss. we cuss frequently. Martha Wells took home the prize for Best Novella for All Systems Red. Suzanne Palmer won Best Novelette for The Secret Life of Bots. Rebecca Roanhorse won for Best Short Story for Welcome to Your Authentic Indian Experience. And then Louis McMaster Bujold won Best Series for The World of the Five Gods, which I've read 2 of the books in that series. They are very standalone. I never read the 3rd book for reasons I'll go into at a later date. Not negative reasons, just reasons. But those 2 books, if you like Fantasy of Manners, they are amazing. Curse of Chalion and Paladin of Souls. They are outstanding novels, and Paladin of Souls won a Hugo for Best Novel. Okay. Honestly, though, I think Chalion's the better book, but that's just me. But yeah, so what are you bringing?
My news was on something that you already announced, the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica.
Right, yeah, we mentioned that a couple weeks back.
Yeah,
and I don't think Derek was as hype about it as I was, because Derek never really played that much Magic, and especially not that at that time.
What the listeners can't see, right now in the far side of my room, there is an entire 3-story stack of just like a dresser full of magic cards,
Yeah.
like nothing but magic cards.
The only 2 decks I still have completed are a blue-red Izzet.
From
deck,
Ravnica,
and a white-green token Selesnya deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was
Ravnica's like everyone's favorite setting. It's so great. Next to Phyrexia.
Well, I loved Mirrodin.
Yeah.
Because I loved artifacts. And like the artifact affinity creatures, I just loved that mechanic.
Yeah.
That was like a favorite of mine. But Ravnica, I think, is the most interesting setting that Magic has ever done.
Yeah. And so they're combining that with, their D&D, with the D&D multiverse, and introducing it as a
long
plan.
Time coming.
Yes. I don't know if anybody on this podcast has seen it before, but they did this once before with Planeshift Zendikar. Zendikar is another setting they have.
Is that the one that had the Eldrazi?
Yes,
okay.
Eldrazi and the core people. I pointed at something on my wall, like all of you could see it, but it's back there.
Yeah.
But anyways, and what they did is they basically took a Magic setting and they added stats to all of it, which is and they released it for free. It's called an Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah.
That they do. And so they put these things out sometimes weekly when they have a lot of content they're pumping out. And sometimes they'll, most of the time they just do it monthly.
Yeah.
But they release the races and Unearthed Arcana.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I didn't look at the actual stats, like the mechanics of them.
Yeah.
But I just saw Loxodon.
Yeah.
And Vishino, which those were the 2 that stood out to me because I remember them the most. I didn't really remember Vedalkeen that much.
Yeah.
But they're the like blue guys, like blue face.
Yeah, and then they're also they released a race for the Simic Guild.
Simic, yes. But aren't they like it's not like they're like aren't they like they piece their bodies together?
Yeah,
or something like that?
they mutate themselves with other things. So they introduce a really cool mechanic of like each part of the race has 3 racial features 3 times, and you get to pick what adaptations you take of if you want tentacle arms or if you want
that's all anyone's ever wanted.
Yeah, and so I thought that was a very interesting mechanic. But anyways, it's on their website now for free for play testing.
Yeah.
And the greatest part about the Unearthed Arcanas is like this is the stuff they're feeling out for the source book that they're putting out, and all the numbers are subject to change. So play it, go to the Reddit, say, hey, whoa, this is too OP, or like, this needs to go up. And, a lot of times it gets adjusted right before the book comes out.
I did read on the Loxodon. It seemed like there was a little bit much going on it. Like, nothing was, like, super powerful, but they just had so much going on there.
Well, they're elephant people.
They are. No, it's very cool. Didn't it also have, like, a centaur lion? Wasn't that in Ravnica? Like a centaur lion critter.
That wasn't Ravnica. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
I don't know how you would make that.
I don't remember what plane
easily
that's
playable.
from.
I don't know how you'd make that an easily playable race.
Hey, eventually they're going to get all of like the best Magic settings.
Yeah. Well, did I see
D&D?
that they released a PDF for Dominaria? Just like a small one.
Not yet.
Okay.
At least I haven't seen one. Somebody else might have put one out.
I thought I might have seen, or maybe they're just talking about that Dominaria wasn't going to get a book, but like, because like Eberron's not getting a book.
Yeah.
They're just doing a PDF. I think they might be planning on doing a PDF for Dominaria.
Yeah, they're mashing a lot of planes. I know Ravnica already is in production.
Really? When you said Ravnica, I instantly
I was like, whoa, they're coming out with the Ravnica book.
Right? No, I was thinking Innistrad.
Yeah. It would be great.
I would, rather than doing Innistrad, they should just bring back an official version of Ravenloft.
They have Curse of Strahd.
I mean exactly. But Barovia is just one country in Ravenloft. Yeah,
okay.
I had all the not all, but I had probably 8 Ravenloft source books. When Fantasy Flight Games was putting them out.
You are talking about my weakest area of D&D. If like anybody could see my room right now, there's a huge stack of D&D books on my bed.
Yeah.
The only 5th edition books I'm missing is Curse of Strahd and the Sword Coast Adventurers.
That's fair. I was a big Ravenloft fanboy because it's horror setting, and that's what I think personally I'm best at DMing is horror. So, but DM doesn't,
political intrigue here.
Well, I've always really wanted to do political intrigue. I just haven't. But horror doesn't lend itself well to long campaigns. I find it's best in like 1 and 2 off sessions, from my experience. Yeah, but no, I'm hyped for that Ravenloft book. Like I like city campaigns, but every time I've done a city campaign or played in one, especially, it always just seems like, oh, well, you're in a city, do whatever you want to do, and that lack of structure ends up kind of hurting the campaign. Yeah, I find, and I find that a lot of DMs, and I have done this myself, kind of use a city as a crutch. Like, oh, well, I'll just throw you in a city; it'll be so easy, you know.
And there's so much to do in a city.
Well, you throw it on the player, like, oh, well, it's the player's responsibility to find something. When really, come on, DM,
come on, push us.
Yeah. So I'm excited for a setting that it is just a city, city setting. I'm hyped for that.
As far as like if anybody's interested in this type of stuff, if you have what's 15 times 3, 45?
Yeah.
If you have 45 hours. And you can watch it on 2.0 speed on YouTube, so that cuts it down to 23 hours. Yeah. If you have 23 hours to spare, on my YouTube channel, there's a playlist called Ilderon Tales, Brother in Arms. That is the story of a D&D group going through an entire campaign inside the capital city of a nation that's in a civil war. And it's a political like story of them like trying to keep the country glued together that just concluded like 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
So it's
nice.
It's 23 hours of content if you watch on 2.0 speed, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. And give them your channel one more time.
Oh, the channel is youtube.com/c/PresBKennedy.
Cool. All right, well, I think that's going to be it for the news. Let's cue up that harmonica. All right, and we're back. So that was back in April, I believe it was, that the Alabama Book Festival was.
Yes.
April? Every year, old Alabama town, Alabama Book Festival. I was in it last year. I had a booth there. Didn't this year. Because if you can't sell anything, it just costs you money to not sell anything. So I was like, not worth it. Anyway, Brandon here got invited to speak on a comics panel. Because Brandon is somewhat of a comics guru.
A written medium illustrated comics panel. Because I am a stand-up comedian, but I wasn't there to talk about stand-up
like comic books, and web comics. And so basically, what ended up happening though is they ran short on time. It was only an hour. They had 4 people on the panel, I believe, and each person answers every question. 3 or 4 minutes each for their answer. You quickly run out of time. So what Brandon was brought on there to talk about, he didn't get to really talk about. And I was like, you know what? I want to hear what he has to say. So when Derek abandoned us for South Carolina, I was like, you know what? I will give Brandon his platform to speak about this. And the topic was webcomics, but like free-to-read webcomics. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, it was mostly just what the panel was about was comic books that weren't Marvel or DC was what they wanted to bring us in there for.
And they talked about like the one guy talked about the Jodoverse, and one guy talked about American Vampire.
And I'm reading through Fables right now.
Fables. I'm collecting the trades of that.
Okay. I have the first issue right there.
Okay. I have probably 7 more trades.
They're like, there's 22 of them, and they're completed. I just found that out the other day. Yes,
they are. There's a bunch of them. But one guy talked about American Vampire, which the first arc of that was done by Stephen King.
Okay.
And it's good. But they talked about a bunch of stuff that I had actually read. One guy was bringing up the Civil Rights comic. I can't remember the name of it, like something about March. I saw they have like 3 trades of that now at Books A Million.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's gotten pretty lengthy. Anyway, that's a huge sidestep. But
So yeah, and when I went to the panel, I wanted to talk about something that didn't get a lot of light, and that was webcomics, and that all the great stuff that artists are out there creating and putting out on the internet. Just because I was somebody who bought a lot of comic books religiously on a week-to-week basis until I quit my job. And I couldn't afford to keep collecting like that, so I had to find alternative ways to read and like seek entertainment.
Which he is a freelance graphic design artist.
Yes.
So hit him up. He does really good book covers. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
But yeah, so what I ended up diving into, one search led me to another search, which led me to another search, and I started getting into essentially what you would expect out of published company press like Dark Horse or so comics in electronic format in the form of webcomics by independent artists that are funded through Patreon and different sites. And the most popular one that I use is a site called Webtoons, and it actually has an app that you can download on your phone for free and browse their huge library of anything.
Which, weirdly, before, I don't know how I found it, but I've been on Webtoons, and one of the comics you're going to talk about, I had actually read before it was finished.
Yeah.
And so, like, I can, and then when I knew he was coming on, I was like, well, dude, send me some stuff I need to read. And he sent me a couple on Webtoons. It's incredibly easy to use. And it's, one of the coolest things I think about is, like, they have musical backing. But it's optional. Like, basically when you open up a page of the comic, there'll be a button at the top that you can just click, like, all right, sound on. And music will play faintly in the background. Like, that's one of the coolest things I like about these comics is you can do more with them than a traditional comic book.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's my favorite. That's one of the things I love about them too, and why I recommended the author I recommended to Bob was an author by the name of Walking North, and her comic that she has on the site is called Always Human, and it's a sci-fi futuristic romance story.
Yeah,
but
we're gonna deep dive on it here in a minute.
Okay,
talk in general, and then we're gonna specifically talk about Walking North.
Well, one of the reasons why I fell in love with this comic and her work, and why I think this is an area that everybody needs to explore, is because as a webcomic, like, the reason why you have panels on a comic is so you can divide the scenes in a way that fits the page and conveys the information. But when you're in electronic format, you can convey whatever information you want, however you want. So she doesn't structure her panels or comics in the traditional way that you'd expect the paneling to be structured. And this is very evident of a lot of people who create stuff on Webtoons.
And I know that for some people that's going to sound very jarring, but it actually ends up being very organic. And like it flows. Because I've read, I have Kindle Unlimited, and like some of the Hellboy comics are on Kindle Unlimited. Mm-hmm. And, like, reading one of those comics on like an e-reader is pretty painful, honestly. Yeah. Like, it's not, but the way this does, it just flows so smoothly.
Yeah, it's like flowing through a stream and reading it.
Yeah, it's glorious.
And then, in addition to how the panels are structured, Bob already mentioned the musical accompaniment. So
she makes all the music.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
As you scroll through it and the different moments get more dramatic or less dramatic, there's a soundtrack backing it up and contributing to the atmosphere that you're reading. And not every comic on Webtoons will do that. A few do. And I don't even know if I'll say the best do. It's just something the medium can offer.
Yeah, and that's, like, if it can't, like, it's one of those deals, like, I think there's a lot to be explored in this space for what you can do, like, because it's still, I know the internet's been around for a good while now, but, like, I feel like there's still a lot of room to grow in this direction. Like, I feel like there's 5 years from now, we'll go to Webtoons and be like, oh my god, you can do this on there, or like something like that. Like, I feel like there's definitely room
5 years from now, we're gonna have comics beamed directly into our So among the things that I recommended, of course, there was Always Human
Yep.
by Walking North, and Ariel Magic, which is her other comic.
Her new one, because Always Human has finished.
Yes. I was reading another one that was kind of like a treasure hunters comic called Ghosts Among the Wildflower. There was another comic I got into called Mirror. Yep. That I read up to its current date, and the author took a break, so I haven't went back and caught back up with it. Yeah. But it was like a technology meets like D&D mirror realm. Yeah. That was really, really interesting. And there's just so much to explore on the website. I sent you like 3 more romance comics.
I had time to read the first 2.
Okay.
I read Always Human and all of Always Human, all of Ariel Magic, and then I just ran out of time. So.
That's fair. I paused what I was reading on Webtoons. Like, I could recommend a few more. Yeah. But I paused to read Fables because I have to return that to the person who lent it to me. Yeah. So when if I ever do get back, I'll be like, all right, guys, out of the things I recommend, these ones are garbage and these ones are good. So don't read these. But why I think webcomics are great is because there's so much middle ground, and this is speaking on culture. There's so much middle ground that traditional comics have to go through. And comics in themselves, and I'm going to reverse this a step. Okay. Comics in themselves are normally a weekly form of media coming out to the public, which is about the quickest form of a story if you think about really what we consumed. Like how long it takes to produce TV shows, how long it takes to write books, how long it takes to make a movie, how long it takes to make a radio broadcast. That
a comic is as quick as it can get from a creative person to you. Yes. On a broad
spectrum. Yeah. And so I think comics themselves are the quickest reflection of culture, of like looking at what's happening in comic books as the quickest way to see like social commentary on what's happening in society. And webcomics just kind of... Webtoons works directly with the artists who are producing the comics, and the artists upload the comics when they're complete with them. And most artists make their comics week to week for that site. Some will, upload monthly. But that said, I believe, webcomics is out of the quickest media to see a reflection of culture. Webcomics are the even quicker version.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could literally draw a sketch and have it online instantly. Now, granted, Always Human is so far beyond a sketch. Yes. Like, the artwork on it is so fantastic.
It's beautiful. Yeah. But anyways, for that, I believe the medium does a better job of expressing diverse cast of characters, does a better job of talking about social issues, and it does a better job of just basically allying with society in the views of like social morality. Yeah. And you get the best image of that in webcomics.
Yeah. I think. I'll say this, part of what I appreciated most about Always Human is how it completely normalized different forms of love. Everything was just so organic to the story. It didn't feel like... It's one of those deals like sometimes you find an author that you feel they kind of shoehorned in. Like maybe they shoehorned in a homosexual relationship because they felt like I'll check a box here, Like it didn't feel like that with Always Human, It felt very... And it represents a huge... there's an asexual character. There is a married couple with a boyfriend, They're,
polyamory.
Polyamory is... It's just background because it's just whatever. It's just normal, It doesn't matter, and that's the thing. Nothing in this did it ever really matter to the stories. It's these are just how people are, and it didn't be like, oh well, look at this polyamorous couple. The character of Vesh, I did not realize Vesh's connection to anyone until after Vesh had been in there 3 different scenes, and it's like, oh, this is Vesh. This is my parents' boyfriend. It's like, oh, so that's who Vesh is. Okay. But it didn't really matter, Yeah. It was just how it just treated everything as normal. Yeah, was just so awesome, and also how ever so, like, it wasn't really cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is a poor descriptor for how it is, but there were a lot of cyberpunk elements in there that I liked. Cyberpunk is very gritty and dirty.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's called, they call it high tech and low life. Like, no one in Always Human is low life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very high tech and had a very cyberpunk feel to it while being lighthearted and real. Like, it was, cannot speak high enough about this comic. Aerial Magic,
Yeah, Bob and I were discussing this earlier.
Yeah.
That it doesn't hit the same notes for either of us.
And I have two theories why.
Okay.
First off, how organic and flowing the comic was of Always Human. Those hard breaks every so often with the line in between, like it'll be like, oh, you're flowing through the comic, and it's like, oh, well, here's just a black screen with a line through it. Like, these hard breaks break up the flow of, like, whereas Always Human was so flowing, like you're just going from one panel to the next. There are these weird pauses in the visual narrative, so to speak, that it's just like, oh, well, here's a black screen for a moment. Because it's not actually like, you're not like clicking to a black screen. It's you are clicking, or you're scrolling down on the page. It's like, oh, well, now my screen is all black for a moment. Like, that's kind of visually jarring, so it doesn't flow as well as Always Human. But also, with Always Human, you had a very clear direction where this comic was going. It was a romance comic about these two people falling in love. And Aerial Magic, you kind of get the vibe that, oh, it's about this girl as an apprentice. But is that really what it's about? Like, I don't know. Like, obviously it's about her as an apprentice, but I don't feel like that's really the gist of, like, I feel like that's not really the gist of what she's going with. And also, like, it's kind of, like, I feel like they're trying to do, like, a stand-in for dyslexia with the whole can't read. Why she has the familiar. Yeah. But it's brought up a couple times and then more or less ignored. Yeah. And also, the familiar is awful. Like, it's kind of an awful entity. Like, it's like, for every moment of like, oh, it's kind of redeemed itself a little bit, there's like 87 scenes of it being just a cock nugget. So, Aerial Magic is still gorgeous, and I'm going to keep reading it because I want to see where it's going to go. Same. But right now, it does not have... It feels like it's just drifting. It doesn't have direction like Always Human had. Yeah. It's kind of...
I can agree with that.
So...
so are we going to deep dive into Always Human?
We can, yeah. Actually, let's hold up. Okay. We can do that as like... I don't know how much this is interesting people. It interests the fuck out of me because I love this comic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into our viewer mail real quick. Okay. We'll end this and we'll do a bonus episode. Okay. It might be 10, 20 minutes where we talk about Always Human, other comics, stuff like that. We'll do a little bit deeper dive on this topic if this interests you. So our viewer mail. As always, please, I strongly encourage you to email us at booksbeardsbooze@gmail.com. Or you can message anything Tales by Bob and I will get it. But, so we had, weirdly, our viewer mail is not from listeners to the podcast. They are from authors that we featured. Okay. Yeah. So first off, Dr. Olivia Cade, who was last week's short read Tall Glass. We did her story, The Stone Weta. And I was a little leery about messaging her, and I ended up not, because I was like, because Derek seemed to not like didn't like the story, and I was like, God, I love the story. Derek did, and I was like, I don't know. I don't want to send her this podcast where one guy's kind of like hating on her story. It's like, so I didn't do it, but she found it anyway, and was so cool about it. Like, so she said, "Hey guys, I loved your podcast on my story. I laughed when one of you said it might be a better prologue to a longer story." Derek said that. Derek was like, okay, as it is, I don't like it. If it was a prologue to a longer story, I would like it. She said, because I wrote a novel around this after with all the spy stuff. So fingers crossed it gets picked up. So you called it right there. And I responded. And then she said, I told her, let us know if the book gets picked up. Let us know. We want to read it. And she said, will do. Also, you said you were looking for other New Zealand short science fiction fantasy short story authors. There's a lot of us. And she tagged a bunch on Twitter. I'm going to mess up every one of these names, especially because they're like tags.
Yeah.
But it's like Paul Mannering, AJ Fitzwater, Andy C. Buchanan, Lee Murray, J.C. Hart, Debbie Cowens, Tina Macaretti. She said she knew she's forgetting more, but they're all fabulous. And there's a couple others that didn't have like their names, like Faye Ryder and R.A. Bartz. I wasn't sure how that was supposed to be. But yeah, you can find on our Twitter feed. If you just go through, you'll find and check all these people out. And we're definitely going to find more New Zealand short stories to feature on here. It'll probably be a while because we, don't want to just clog up the feed with nothing. But
now I definitely did see a few underscores in there that you didn't.
Well, because I was like, this guy's name is Paul Mannering. I was like, just go find Paul Mannering, a New Zealand short story writer. Yeah.
You'll find
Anyway, so we did a bonus podcast about Kings of the Wild, which was a book
I cannot wait to read that. You guys have been praising it so much.
Oh, dude, listen to our bonus podcast about it. Because guess who did? The author, Nicholas Eames. And here's what he had to say about it. Thanks so much for this, everyone. Truly an honor to be the subject of this. So many laughs. It was really amazing and so hilarious. It's pretty great to hear the perspectives of people who got exactly what I was going for. It means the world to me, truly. I hope you love Bloody Rose as well. Which, Bloody Rose is the sequel that comes out on the 28th. And everyone should rush out to get that, because I will be. But yeah, I just thought that was cool. Like, authors taking time out of their day to say hi to us lowly peons out here making a podcast. Like, I don't know. It warmed my little pea-picking heart. Anyway, so wrapping up, please email us, booksbeardsbooze@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. Message anything TalesbyBob.
You can you can email me at bkennedylive@gmail.com. And if you want to insult Bob, I'll laugh with you behind his back. And no, I'm kidding.
No. He's a member of the writing group here in Montgomery, so he will be sure to bring it to my attention. So please email him insults directed at me. Mostly Derek, though, because Derek abandoned us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, as always, as we end this, I'm going to challenge you as your week comes up to go forth and grow a great beard.